Okay, this isn't part 2, this is redo. I shot a bunch of video on this yesterday, and when I went to edit it last night, it wasn't there. There was some little tiny clip of something else. I got a feeling I got out of sequence on the record button, and I kept shutting it off. I don't know. Anyway, this is what I started the recording for yesterday, so I'm going to go back through it, and probably a good bit quicker than yesterday. I just got to kind of remember what the heck it was I was going on about. So I have 3 spindles here. Okay, this is the 320, and you can kind of two ways to denote or what makes it different. There's a recess space down here, and this is actually a bit wider. Okay, it rises up from the edge of the dog bone, and see this. See that it's got a radius right here, comes down its neck down a little bit. I don't know what the castings are or whatever, but the dog bones pretty much look the same. Should basically be interchangeable, except for the bottom here. Okay, these have a boss sticking out of them that the rubber sleeve goes on. The 320s used to have cork gaskets. Okay, they look the same spindle-wise. The standoff at the base is the same. The dimensions, length, everything. The 521 just doesn't have that radius in there, so it's here, should be a bit stronger. But they both have SAE threaded holes at the bottom. They're a fine thread, 24 pitch, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, and then pass-throughs at the top. Okay. The 620 looks pretty much identical to the 521. Whether it's any different or not, I don't know. The casting marks are a little different and in different spots. This one's got a little L over here. This one's got an R. So they're opposite as far as right and left go, stuff like that. But what I was after here, and the 620 has, this has been modified for a brake kit, but it's got 4 threaded holes, okay, and they're metric. I'm pretty sure the holes down here are metric as well. And you can see that on the 620, see where it's raised right here? This gets bigger and fatter. It's got that big cap on there. This one does not have that. Okay, and the cap's missing. But I'm not sure any of these have been taken apart. If any have been taken apart, it's the 320, I think. But the other thing, the biggest reason I pulled them out was to get a comparison, because there was some question over whether or not the Cotter bolts, Cotter pins, okay, there's the factory number for the Cotter pin. I think when I ordered these years ago, I ordered everything but one pair, and then Heinz Perry ended up getting ordering the rest. So as far as I know, they're completely NLA via Nissan. I do have plans to make these, so part of what I needed to do this for was to find out whether or not it fit all 3. Okay, so yesterday, part of what you missed from yesterday, I did take what was it? It was a 5/16 drill bit. Yep, 5/16 just fits in there nicely. Okay, so I put that in there and ran it with the cordless drill in and out a couple of times, kind of thing. Pick up any burrs, pull the grease and crud out and stuff like that, clean it up just a little bit. And so this Cotter bolt, and it is 0.311. So this Cotter bolt, it fits all 3 of them. Okay, it'll go into that one, kind of snug, goes into that one nicely, goes into that one nicely. Okay, so the bit about the 320s being smaller, not exactly sure what's going on there. One thing to note about these, and I think I show it later in another video, the Cotter goes in from this side with the flat down. When it's all cleaned up correctly and everything, I have a burr in that one, I guess. Might have a burr in that. Let me pull out the one that I cleaned up yesterday. There we go. Alright, I cleaned this up with a little Scotch-Brite just to make sure there wasn't any burrs or anything on it and stuff, but let's see here. Yeah, see, so that should pass through, okay? The flat goes down, and you don't want it to stop on anything except for the fulcrum pin going in there. And I do show that later. So you want to make sure that you clean that out. One guy grinds his pins down, okay? 6 1, half a dozen of the other, really. If you get the hole cleaned and deburred and that stuff, it should go through anyway. So that one's a little tight. You would, at the very least, want it to go through far enough to where the head is, you know, just almost flush. It shouldn't seat there. It should be out just a little bit when you're done. But anyway, same cotter pin fits all three. So that was one of the big questions. Now there is differences between the older ones. The 320 and the 520 through the 521 are all SAE. Okay. The 620, it's still the same bolt dimensions. It's still 0.311. Okay. But it's got metric threads on it. So this is an M6.1 thread on that one. It will still work and fit in. So if you get a cotter off a 620 and it's in good shape and everything, hey, keep it. This won't be such an issue once I get these made. Okay. And when I make them, I plan on making, you know, I don't know, 50, 100. Hardly anybody rebuilds their kingpins anymore, that kind of stuff, or takes the lower control arms off. So that, you know, I just want to go through and make enough one time that, you know, we don't ever really run out. So this is a 1/4 28 thread. Okay, that's for the, and it threads on its lock nut, so it's not going to go down any further. The 620, as I said, is a metric. And let's see if we can get it to focus in there. It should. There we go. Okay, see, the threads don't want to mesh. They're close. Alright, so you're going to want to be careful with that, because this is 0.232. And this is 0.245, okay? This one being slightly smaller will let it thread in to the SAE, the Imperial thread one. It'll still cross thread once it starts binding up, but it feels like it goes in. So make sure you have the right nut to go with it, okay? I don't know what thread I'm going to put on these things when I make them, but they'll all be the same. I'm not going to do a metric and a Imperial thread for them or anything. So, okay, the other big question that I pulled these out to, while I've got it out, I might as well look at and kind of answer. And there's no actual answer here. Okay, the bearing, the thrust bearing that the weight of the vehicle, at least this corner of the vehicle, rides on, that bearing is always on the bottom. Okay, because the tire is fixed. Okay, it doesn't, and then the dog bone pulls down all the weight. If you put this on top, you will not be able to turn your vehicle. Maybe first time or two with a ton of grease in there, but after that, no. And I've shown it in the rebuild videos too. The bearing is a special design, and it's kind of hooded, and you want the seam, the gap basically down, so that way as water and everything like that all comes down, it rolls off instead of collecting in the bearing. Anyway, the question being where to put the shims. So on the 320, the shims are down on the bottom. I can't tell you if that's factory or not, because the book, the page in the book is a little misleading, and I haven't looked at all the manuals, just the one that got posted the other day on the Ratsun thread. And it shows it close to this bearing, but it doesn't show definitively. I've done it both ways, and I kind of thought, well, it's a whole lot easier to put them in down here The problem is, though, that then you're wearing the hard part. Okay, so if you don't keep enough grease in here, every time it bounces and you're turning and stuff like that, or just bounce, it's hammering these two pieces together and you're wearing the hard part. These two, the 620 and the 521, both have their shims up top. It's kind of hard to see that one because they all fell to the other side, but you can see the shim in there. And so then you keep grease in there and stuff like that, and then the shims is what's wearing. Okay, I don't know which would wear faster. You keep enough grease in there, you really shouldn't have significant wear, but you know, as these wear and start wearing out and stuff like that, you're going to kill the shims and you're going to get a lot more up and down slop. But you just put new shims in there. You may not even necessarily have to put new kingpins in. And you got to keep in mind too, in the rebuild video I show that the flat spots where these two mate, if the shims are in there, they tend to get dimples, recesses. You have to make sure you sand all that flat so that when you go to put the shims in and you measure or whatever, you're not measuring the high spot right on the outer lip. That's in the rebuild videos. You can go look them up. The 620 also has the shims up top here. So I think if I was putting them back together, you know, I think on one of the videos I touted putting them down here with the bearing, and then viewer commented and said that put them on the top because then you're not wearing the hard part. So my preference, I think, in the future for anything I do is to put the shims in the top, just for that reason. Okay. Plus they're stainless steel, and that'll help keep rust from forming in the crack when it sits for a long time. And then you're rubbing rust on rust, and it just grinds the two halves even more. All right, just for quick reference here, you can easily see the size difference there. The one on the left, the bigger one, is the one that goes in the kingpin hole here.